The path into a job in banking or private equity is clear. You go to university, a good one, of course. You study finance, economics, or something similar. You get an internship at a bank. You get a job in that bank as a graduate analyst. And if you're not content with all that, you join private equity. It's a path so well-trodden that you might think it's the only path at all, but you'd be wrong. Find out why on the Coffee Run. This week's top story is about Bakari Akil, a 37-year-old private equity millionaire who, as recently as 2015, was homeless. He grew up in the Queensbridge housing projects in New York and said that, growing up, he didn't know anyone with more than $5,000 to their name. Akil did not go to university, he did not have an MBA, but he was an avid reader of personal finance books and listened to a lot of podcasts. His big break came as a result of him breaking into Columbia University in order to listen to a class by Timothy Bovard, an investor in search funds. These are funds that raise money with the purpose of buying specific businesses in the hopes of turning its fortunes around and making a profit when selling them. Akil set out to build his own search fund, but funding wasn't easy, especially in his financial situation. He would sleep in subways and WeWorks, he'd shower in airport waiting areas, he'd even sleep under desks in meeting rooms when he was set to meet investors there the following day. Oftentimes, these investor meetings would not go well, as they didn't want to give their money to a man with no qualifications. Eventually, Akil was able to secure funding, but multiple ventures fell through. It was only just before the COVID pandemic when he bought his first successful firm, focused on retraining people, which he earned a six-figure fee for selling. He put that money back into his search fund, and more established private equity funds seemed much more interested in backing him. Today, Akil is a millionaire that spends every month of the year living in a new country. Contrast his story to that of the average analyst in a private equity firm. Blackstone, for example, recently welcomed its 2026 intern class, who were told by President John Gray that they have to be entrepreneurial. Not entrepreneurial in the sense that Akil is, but more in the sense that you can be quote-unquote an agent of change and more effectively serve clients. That's not to say that taking the traditional route into private equity is easy. That Blackstone intern class represented just 0.1% of actual applicants. To get a PE graduate job, you'd need similar determination to Akil. One candidate told us they messaged over 2,000 people and spent a year preparing by studying leveraged buyout models. And while Akil has managed to become a millionaire, you can earn far more working in a major private equity firm. Blackstone's London partners made $5 million each in 2025, and for the first half of this year, the firm paid over $545 million in performance-based compensation to its private equity staff alone. If you're going through the investment banking pipeline, meanwhile, you're going head-to-head with hundreds of bankers to pass through a filtering process after already passing through a tough filter to get into banking in the first place. Rupert Bell, founder of a private equity recruitment firm, told us the appetite for junior bankers to come into PE is as high as it has ever been, but the bar for entry is being raised. The difference between these people and Akil is that in almost all cases, the kinds of people getting into banks and PE firms have not had to live on the streets. Most have never had to live below the middle class. The inherent risk they take on is far lower. There are exceptions, of course. One of the most well-known and controversial is Gary Stevenson, an ex-City trader who grew up in the working-class London suburb of Ilford. He got into City by winning a card game organised by the bank to test prospective applicants. Stevenson was at this point studying at the London School of Economics, though, on a scholarship, and thus had much better luck than most. But you can also argue that Akil has been equally lucky in being able to get funding after previous failed ventures. Luck is a prerequisite for a good and lengthy career in finance, as is grit. Is it easier to climb the private equity corporate ladder than to forge your own path? Probably, all things considered. Would most people working 5 days a week in the office at a PE firm envy Akil's current globe-trotting lifestyle? Probably too. Both sets of people, regardless, are lucky to be in their position. Even though Blackstone accepts 0.1% of applicants, a far smaller percentage of people from Akil's background reach the heights that he has.